Hey guys, today on the podcast, I have Taylor Posey. And today we are talking about how she became a Dom, as in a female dominatrix. I don't know, female Dom, not DOM, but DOMME. It's all like the sexy vibes. As I have been getting a little bit more into kink and BDSM, I'm learning that a female Dom is actually very rare. So I'm really excited to have this rare unicorn Dom on our show today. She's going to talk about how she became a Dom, and we'll just kind of go back and forth and we'll do some exchange of information. And of course, you guys can always ask more questions and we'll have her back on if you want to have more. So Taylor, tell us all about you.
Oh gosh. Just a little bit about my life. This is my, I guess you could say by night thing that I like to do. I'm a perfectly normal person in real life with two dogs and a house and, nice backyard. But this opportunity came upon me last summer after I had separated from my husband in the weirdest of ways. And I took the plunge.
I want to know more. Tell us more of the story.
It all starts with Tinder, because doesn't everything start with
Yes,
Tinder?
all of my stories start with one time on Tinder. It's like one time at band camp.
I had already had multiple people reach out to me, multiple younger men. I'm 40, okay, 40 and a BBW, and let me just tell you, that's very in right now.
Yeah,
it's very popular, and I had a lot of younger men that were messaging me, asking me to top them sexually, and I had one that actually was like, "Hey, will you be my Dom?" I've never been a Dom. So in fact, I was probably
sure, why not?
opposite. Like, I've been a people pleaser my entire life, right? So here's this person asking me to take total control of them, and I'm like, and so I thought about it, and I thought about it, and I talked to the guy, and I was like, I don't think this is for me. I don't think this is for me. So then I had Tinder Gold.
Yeah, me too.
I matches, so I could just go through my matches and swipe who I wanted to swipe on. And there was this really beautiful blonde-haired, blue-eyed boy. Beautiful. And so his profile just said not vanilla.
Oh.
And so me being relatively green to kink, I had experimented with kink a little bit in the past, but nothing too crazy. So I messaged him and I was like, what flavor are we talking? Like, same shelf, different shelf out the store and around the corner? Like, where are we? He's like, spicy. I had no idea what that meant. I had no idea. I was literally had no idea. So he starts telling me like what he likes. And he says that he's a switch, and he started with kink when he was in high school with his high school girlfriend, and that he didn't currently have a Dom and he was looking for one. And so I'm like, dude, what is it with my profile that all these people are asking me to do this? He's like, well, you did put in there that you have a strong female personality. And I was like, oh, okay, so that's what it is. And I do. On a regular day, I have a strong female personality. But I decided to do it. It just clicked with him. It felt right with him. We had a great connection. So I had a therapy meeting with my therapist, and I was like, therapist, I have something to tell you. And I really thought she was going to be like Lauren, but she was like, no, you need to do this. This will be great for you. And I'm like, what are you talking about? You're supposed to tell me this is crazy and I shouldn't do this, because I had no idea. But she didn't. She's like, no, you need to do this. This is going to be good for you. So I started researching, and he and I kept talking. We discussed our limits, things that we absolutely would not do, things that we were interested in. And our first session, I found out that I really like to spank.
Oh.
I really like to spank. And I actually had to like stop for a minute and step outside of the room and collect myself, because it just broke something loose. Like I accessed some part or accessed before, and the endorphins were flowing and the ideas were kicking, and I completely overwhelmed. So I stepped out and I collected myself. I left him there tied up and blindfolded. I didn't even tell him I was leaving. I just left, and I came back and I finished the job. And
you finished
the
the
rest is
job.
history. Like we've been a little bit finish him. He and I have been off and on since then. That was July of last year, and we've been off and on. We're on again. We take breaks sometimes, and he's the best little thing that exists to me. Like, and it's a very fulfilling thing, and I'm so glad that I found him and that I was comfortable with him and got started, because it's been the most amazing experience of my entire life.
Interesting. Let me feel into that. Okay. I feel like I need to go back for just a minute, fill in some white space. So if you're like, what is Tinder Gold? It's I think $24.99 a month. It's the first level plan on Tinder, where you can actually see like who's matching with you, and you get like special extra, what is it called? Like extra star bump or whatever the fuck it is, like extra bonus points. And
you get like an extra super like. That's what it's called.
Like,
I've been banned now because I mentioned kink in my profile, but yeah.
Oh, okay. You can't put kink in your profile on Tinder?
Don't do it.
Oh, that's weird. But that's a really good thing to know. Okay, so then let's talk about that for a minute. So if you are into kink, or you are into looking for someone to do some dom subby BDSM stuff, putting like I am not vanilla would be good.
That is a very good key indicator.
Are there any other indicators that you should put that would be Tinder appropriate?
Sometimes you will see some acronyms, like FLR is the female-led relationship. So, and that would be a male looking for,
what is it?
Female-led relationship.
Female-led, FLR. Okay, we're gonna need like a little dictionary for this podcast. Okay.
Yes,
keep telling us, and I'm going to take notes. I'm going to put these
I'm still learning some of them.
Okay.
But this one, like, this is a man who he wants to be in a relationship, but he wants the female to make the decisions. And in some cases, he wants to be the cuckold. Like, he wants her to be able to go out and have all the sex that she wants, because he knows he can't please her.
Oh.
He knows.
Okay.
He's just that submissive that he knows. He knows his queen deserves whatever she wants. And let's face it, I do.
So let's define cuckold.
So a cuckold in this case, if you, in the terms of a female-led relationship, would be, your little subby boy, subby submissive, sitting over in the corner watching this, what would be referred to as a bull of a man, just railing you. Just railing you. There and watches in the corner. Now, depending upon the level of submissiveness, some submissives, some cucks do like to participate in cleanup. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do know what you're saying. So they're involved in aftercare, or is this like still during the experience? Your eyes are
still during.
I hope y'all are watching this over on YouTube, by the way.
Some do like. I was like, my cheeks are really red.
I know you're like embarrassed, but you're like really excited about it all at the same time.
So yeah, like that, I think that would be fun. I've never done a cuck, and I've never been in a female-led relationship, but it is definitely something that I would be interested in doing. Okay.
Do we need any other acronyms for Tinder? We have FLR.
On Tinder, it's like if a man put that he's looking for a strong female, that's a good indicator. For me, I usually, when I try, I don't even try anymore to find submissives, because they find me But I might have put on there, interested in a different kind of relationship, something a little more spicy. You can use the term spicy, and that could mean a myriad of different kinks. It's representative of kink in general, and it's a pretty safe word. Even putting a chili pepper in your profile. Yeah.
Like it, just like if you're a swinger, you'd put a pineapple.
Yes.
Chili pepper. And maybe like the devil sign, the happy.
Yeah, oh yeah, a little horn.
Okay. I'm like drawing devil symbols and peppers in my notes. We're going to use all the emojis in the notes.
Don't conjure anything over there.
Ooh, so it feels like a big part of this is really energy, that like you are magnetizing in the subs that you're looking for to play with. People are finding you. And what's interesting about Tinder is it's not like keyword activated that I'm aware of. Like, it's not like you can search, I want a spicy female led girl or whatever. Like, it's just what you get served. And then somehow the algorithm does, like I noticed with mine, it finally would just serve me men with beards, because I was like, no, thank you, if you do not have a beard on your face. So there's something behind there where they're realizing what type of guy is attracted to you. Now, have you done any dom subby stuff with women?
I have, well, not officially. So I did spank my best friend one time, and she really liked it. And I'm actually going to see her and her husband and her little kid this next week. And I'm going to teach her husband a few things on how to dom.
Fun, like how to flog or how to make her obey. Yeah. So
because she's super interested in it. After getting spanked, she was like, yeah, I think this is something that I want to do. But they're both really, really as green as I was to it.
Okay. So can you talk to us about the difference between this dom sub relationship and maybe sex? That it's not always together.
They're not.
Can be very separate. Maybe is all for you, maybe is always separate. Can you explain to the listener how that is and what that means, and like give us some information and context?
So there's a difference in being dominant and in being a-dominant.
Okay.
There's a difference in being submissive and being a-submissive. When it comes to sexual relationships, I am more submissive, but I am not a-submissive. No is going to tie me down and do the things that I do to my submissives. It's just not what I'm into. Bend me over and take me, that's cool. But otherwise, I'm good. That's just one of my lines. But like for my personal submissive, he is really into sensations. He loves, actually, he was here this past Friday night, and we discovered that this other flogger he really likes it run on his shaft when he's hard. Like watching his body move and his pleasure, I was just like, and he's blindfolded, so he can't see me. So I'm doing all these things to him and watching his body. And there's like, it is sexual. It's obviously a sexual act, but there was no sex. There was no sex. Some people, I truly believe some people experience even just touches in a much more intense way than other people. And I firmly believe he's one of them. The way he reacts to even just a rub on the belly, it's like, it's indescribable how much pleasure around him too. He's in heaven. But he loves being restricted, and he loves the feeling of it. So for him, if we never had any sexual relations, if I never touched him in a sexual way, he'd be fine. He'd be perfect. But we do, we do sometimes. But it's not always about that. But you have a lot of men that do think that a dom is literally just someone who climbs on tops and rides during sex. And I'm 40 and old and have bad knees, and so I don't do that. But some people think that that's what it is. And if that is what it is for somebody, that's fine. There are 1,000 different ways to be a dom.
Well, I want to ask about that. So some doms like to say, like, I'm a sensual dom, or I'm a sadistic dom, or I'm a what, but are you even in a bucket, or are you like, I can match my sub where they are? Like, I'm a shapeshifter dom.
I can shapeshift on some occasions. I had one sub who considered himself a slave, and we never met in person, but he really loved to be degraded. And I'm not much of a degrader. It's just not in my wheelhouse. But he really liked it. And for me, even though I'm the dominant, for me, knowing he was deriving pleasure from me calling him a little piece of, dirt on the bottom of a cat's paw, hey, it gave me some pleasure too. So I can access some of those things. Now I have my limits, and if I have had a situation where I had a submissive approach me who one of their desires was on my hard limit list.
Okay.
And so I took a couple days to think about it. I mean, because I could just tell him, hey, this is not something that I'm into. I don't, we can't do that. But it was enough that I was like, I don't want to do this at all. And that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
That's why you have those conversations, is because you do get to decide what you are going to do and not do. For me, I do like to do things that my sub enjoys. I am sadistic. That's probably one of my very favorite parts, is the sadism, but it's not always physical. I also like to hold him down and tickle him and make him say his ABCs backwards, and which is a nice form of psychological torture that he can never do. And so we both end up laughing hysterically in this moment. And then, so sadism, yes, but I'm also a nurturer. I had a profile one time and I put myself as the Cuddling Domme, because first thing and the last thing we do every single time is cuddle. We start out by cuddling and watching TV, and then his aftercare is either I'm holding him or he's holding me and rubbing and touching, and usually about to fall asleep because the dopamine is just.
What is in it for you as a dom? Why do you enjoy it? Why do you like it? Because I think sometimes people think that doms are like, they're either like giving punishment, or they're telling you what to do, or and as the like subby person, which I'm receiving. And so I'm curious, the psychological part of what's in it for the dom. Why?
And that is different for every dom too. Yeah. There are doms that do have sex with their submissives every time, and that's what they get out of it. I love the vulnerability and the intimacy. I have never been as vulnerable and intimate with anybody as I have with this submissive. Not even past husbands, boyfriends. Like with your submissive, you have to trust each other far past 100%. You have to trust each other to the point that that, he's going to come into my house and he's not going to hurt me. He's going to come into my house and I'm not going to hurt him. He's tied down, But the intimacy, the cuddles, the skin to skin contact between boyfriends is nice. But also mental health. That was one of the very first things. Excuse me. I had a breakthrough before our first session. My previous husband was very controlling, and he wouldn't help me at the house, like at all. I was left to have a time job and do everything at home. And it didn't matter how much I begged him to help me, he wouldn't help me. And I thought it was my fault. I thought I had done something wrong. And this was the whole reason my therapist was like, and I realized there is this beautiful boy. I say boy, he's in his 30s, he's a man. There's this beautiful man about to come to my house to sweep and mop, just so that I will tie him down and do whatever I want to him. And in that moment, I was like, hey, it wasn't my fault. There's a stranger trying to come to my house that's willing to do things for me when my own husband wasn't willing to, take the trash out. And so it helps that part of my brain to continue to heal from past traumas. But it also gives me, whether it's an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, it gives me a span of time that only I control. I control everything about it. And even if I write out a plan, an agenda, every time he comes up, where there's a nice agenda, he gets it. He gets to spend a day or so looking at it and imagining it and getting used to it. And the thing is that even if things don't go as planned from that agenda, it doesn't matter because I'm in charge. It's my room. It's my time. And what I tell him to do goes. And there's something very, I guess healing is a good word for that, when you feel like you don't have any control in your life. And I grew up feeling like I didn't have much control, or I had to be in control all of the time. And so getting to do it in a totally different way is something that I cannot ever stop. Me and my ex-boyfriend actually broke up because he couldn't deal with the fact that I had a submissive. I brought him back 4 months into our relationship, and he just decided he couldn't do it. But I couldn't give it up. I'm not going to give it up because it helps with my mental health so much.
Okay, so many things that you said I want to talk about. I want to we're going to like rewind for a second. So one thing that you mentioned, or that I took out of this conversation so far, is that just because you're with a person or married to a person doesn't mean that they're the right match for you. No. If you're finding that you have desires that they can't meet, if you're finding that they won't help you with the freaking household chores, like that's normal partnership.
Right.
And I think we've been programmed as a society for so many generations that marriage is forever, death till death do us fucking part. And that if you leave your marriage or they leave you, it's broken and there's something wrong with you and you weren't successful. Like, this is all ridiculous bullshit.
But all feelings that I have felt.
Yeah, me, same. I have 2 ex-husbands. Like, I get it.
Me too.
And what you realize after you allow yourself permission to move on is that they weren't suited for you and you weren't suited for them. And if you love them or care about them or yourself, you will walk away and release them back into the wild so they can find someone else that wants to do all the chores for them.
And you know what, that's a good point. And a point that I have brought up to many people is that there's a song by Shinedown called Second Chance. And that song in and of itself is the reason that I ended up asking for a divorce from my first husband, because neither one of us could love each other the way that we wanted, the way that we needed. And I finally realized that if I left, that it was a chance for him to have the relationship and the love that he also deserved. And I think that is a really huge thing that people have to realize, especially with kink, because sometimes those things aren't fully bloomed when you enter into a relationship. And maybe those things start to sprout up here and there, and you're like, And if you don't have somebody who's into it, it's a wonderful thing to be able to trust your partner enough to let them experiment outside of your couplage, or to either try to take on that role and learn that for them. Like, there's no reason you can't meet somebody halfway. There's no reason you can't try. And it can be as simple as, putting somebody if they want. Just that simple.
Love that. And I think what's amazing is we get to, as we move forward in life and with new relationships, we get to stand really firm in what's important to us, right? Like, it sounded like you had a divorce, you got a boyfriend, somewhere within there was a submissive. You had this boyfriend for a few months and you were like, I still want to play with my sub. And he was like, no, thank you. Which is awesome, because then you get the clarity that you don't want to be partnered with someone who isn't allowing of your kink. And so it's an amazing opportunity to get back into a realignment, right? Align ourselves, and to put this on your profiles as you're dating. We now have like a good, I don't know, 10 things that you can say that are like, I'm into alternative relationships. I'm a strong woman. Like, put the things in your profile. Totally. And as you're dating, feel empowered to put it up front. Like when you are in the Now, let me ask you a quick question.
Before I ever go on a date, I have that conversation.
Can you say kinky shit in the DMs and not get in trouble? Or just within the profile?
As
Or
long
within
as nobody reports you.
Okay. So this could be, I've done another podcast on Tinder. So if you're curious, I can link that in there, but it could be the part to the conversation where you're kind of warming them up in the DMs about like what kind of weird kinky shit you like, but you're not using the word kinky and maybe other words that Tinder may shut you down for. And then when you get to the point where you're like, you know what, let's take this off the Tinder platform, because it's a bit of a janky platform, truthfully, like everyone kind of wants to get off of it. Then you take it into whatever space is comfortable for you. For me, it was like text message or DM or like somewhere my kids couldn't see, or Snapchat or whatever. And then you can be like, I'm fucking kinky as shit. Here's what I want.
Yeah, you do want to wait. You want to wait to have the kinkiest conversations off of Tinder, because they do scan messages. They scan messages.
I posted
and
something.
Once you're banned from Tinder, you are banned for life.
Really? Okay, so I was DMing someone and it was fairly early. Like, you're right. There's bots for something, because I said something that must have been a little scandalous. And I got this message that was like, that's really forward. Are you sure you want to say that already? Which is hilarious because it's a hookup app. Sure? It's an app for hooking up. What the fuck, right? Can we bring in quickly FetLife?
Yeah. So
what is it? Talk to me about it, because a lot of people listening probably don't even know what it is.
I like to refer to FetLife as a Facebook for fetishes and kinks. Now, there is no internal messaging system, so you don't have Messenger that way, but there is like you inbox somebody. There's just not the convenient Messenger app.
It's a little janky. Yeah.
It's a little basic. So you really have to be committed to it. Like, I have my FetLife in a whole different browser. Like, regular everyday Taylor stuff is in my Safari browser, but all the kinky stuff is in my Chrome browser.
Oh, I like that.
So I just have it all completely separate. And that's where I keep my FetLife open, so that it is completely separate. But I do have to go to FetLife to see the messages. FetLife has communities for different kinks, if you're looking for a dom, there's a community for that. If you're looking for a swinker couple, there's a community for that. There are communities for everything you could possibly imagine. There's also a lot of really good videos and pictures. And all I'm saying is I think it's $30 for 6 months to access their videos. And it is some great homemade pornography if you're into that. I love it. It's wonderful. The only thing about FetLife is that because it is a playground like that for sexual stuff, is that you get a lot of inbox messages with little to no respect for you. And I've learned to just accept that, and I respond to the ones that I want, and I don't respond to the ones that I don't want. But that is the number one place that I have had men approach me for being wanting to be their dom, because they are very rare. Like, if there are any women listening that really want to do it, there's no shortage of submissives out there. But there's all submissives too. There's all different types. Like you have the cuckold submissive, you have a sissy submissive, you may have and a sissy is a male that likes to dress and pretend to be a female. You might have somebody who is into being dominated by a female. Like, there's so many. And I actually have a vetting form online. When I was looking for a submissive back in, I guess it was August, I had people fill this form out so that I could see, and I found all of them on FetLife. I actually posted on FetLife, advertised that I was looking for a submissive. And I had about 20 people fill out the application, and I picked. Well, I ended up going back to my old sub because he ended up filling out the application. But it's really interesting to see people's perspectives on what they are as a submissive. It's kind of just in general a submissive, and we like to do a little bit of everything. You have some that are hardcore into one category, where I'm not. I'm not hardcore into one category. So for me, someone who's a little bit more just generic and likes to experiment, an experimentalist. That's what I like.
I like that. I have a couple pieces of feedback about FetLife. So I got on it maybe last December or something. Just curious what it was about. And at that point, I feel like my kink was like 5% of my overall being. It was really low.
Yeah.
And I get on it, and Taylor's right. Like, people are sending you all kinds of things in your inbox. Like, there's no consent conversation happening on
No.
there, really. So you have to be aware of that. And there's some freaky shit. Like, nothing is bad.
Freaky shit.
Right. We don't want to yuck anybody's yum. So there's something yummy for
No.
everyone. So also on the other end, like, if you're super freaky and you're like, I'm so weird, you're not weird. We'll tell you there's all kinds of things there.
Not weird.
Right. So you just kind of decide, like, what are you really actually into? And if you are into anything kinky, FetLife's a great place to be. That's where your people are. Like, I want to be where the people are. Like, that is your place, because all the freaks are there. The freak show in a really good way, right?
Yeah, and it's also a great place to learn about your kink.
Yes. Yeah. And one other thing I really appreciated was there's events. So you can set your, location on there if you want, and you can you'll start to see like different groups and different events in your area. So I have a friend that does some shibari rope. And so they do like, ropes classes and stuff like that. That's still pretty vanilla, like in the kink spectrum. Yeah. I think shibari's pretty still vanilla. And you can start to kind of like edge your way in to figuring out your edge. And that's where Tinder, although it is like the most loose, I would say, of the dating profiles, the largest ones are dating apps. You're going to get a lot of vanilla still in there. Like, I was able to still find polyamorous people. Yeah. And there's people like you, strong women. But if you're looking specifically for kink and BDSM, FetLife is your place.
You have to weed out the bad on FetLife. Like, it's just going to be part of it. And my account is actually deactivated at the moment, just because I'm focusing on my podcast and building my business. So I've deactivated that for the moment, so it's not a distraction. But it is absolutely, it's a really great place. Like, on your profile there, they ask you what you're into so that everybody else can see what you're into. I didn't know I was into as many things as I was into until I filled out my profile. Yes. And I was like, oh, okay.
And you may not know what all of them are. So I was going to ask you, Taylor, have you ever taken a BDSM quiz?
So many times.
So why don't I put the link in the show notes to the BDSM quiz? There's a generic one that like everyone uses that's really good. And it'll tell you like 20 different points of like, how kinky are you and what things do you like and what might you be into, and are you dominant? Are you submissive? Do you like ropes? Do you want to be a slave?
It gets detailed.
Whatever it is. And then you can use those results to then go into, if you're going to build a FetLife profile, I'll also put the link to FetLife as well in the notes. Then you can go in there and build your profile out to that. And then it's going to ask other questions like, are you into women? Are you into men? Are you like, what are all of your things? And you can put them all in there.
What is your title? It asks what relationships you're in. It asks if you are in any kink relationships. Like, I have on there that I am someone's mistress. So they know that I am not a free dom. Like, I don't have just nobody. Do they pay attention? No, they still inbox me, but yeah.
Can you tell us?
It's a great site.
It's a great site. Yeah. So we'll leave that for you guys to go check out. As we're closing up, can you tell us a little bit about your podcast? And I'm assuming there's going to be quite a bit of kinky BDSM stuff in there.
There will. So I'm from a little tiny town in the South. In Mississippi, and little tiny town. Like, it wasn't, do you go to church? It was which church you go to and who's your mom and them. Mm-hmm. And uh, it has been a point of contention amongst some of my family members that I have decided to pursue sex and intimacy coaching and BDSM coaching. And that's why I decided I had to do it. Like, there are so many people just like me that are afraid to express who they are, whether it be that they like to be spanked or to spank. They think there's something wrong with them just because it's not what they were taught, you know? And so I don't want anybody to ever feel like I felt in the past year and a half. And that includes how I'm treated sometimes on FetLife, you know, is there's a person behind this kink, you know, there's a person. And you're right, we don't yuck yums, and it shouldn't matter what you like sexually, as long as you're being safe and it's consensual. There's no reason any of it should be taboo or not be able to be talked about. So I am talking about it as much as I possibly can. I'm going to talk about everything that I possibly can, as much as I possibly can, because I want the next generation, especially of women, to know how powerful they are and how they can continue to empower themselves.
What I love about podcasts is it's like one of the only places that's not really filtered and edited and controlled.
Mm-hmm.
It's a wide open space where we can say fuck and we can say whatever we want, as dirty as we want to get. And the only thing that regulates it is really you as a listener. You get to decide, like, is this my jam? Is this not my jam? Is this someone I want to follow? Is it not someone I follow? Yeah. So we'll put the link to Taylor's podcast in the notes to make sure that you guys can go and check that out. Taylor, do you have anything else that you want to leave them with, other than I do want to say, as I always say, if you enjoyed this podcast and you have made it this far with us, you might want Taylor to come back on and talk about something different. She would probably love to. Yeah. So please, in the notes below, or you can DM either one of us. I'll put her Instagram handle, my Instagram handle, all the things. You can DM either of us and say, can you please have Taylor come back on and have her talk about XYZ?
Yeah.
Have her talk about
implements, toys, vibrators, plugs, pegging, whatever.
Yeah.
And I'm on all of my handles are the Taylor Posey. I have a pretty good following on TikTok, and like right now it's Kinktober, so I'm posting a video a day about different kink tips. And I'm on IG, Instagram. IG is Instagram. I'm on IG. I'm on TikTok, Twitter. I have a Facebook friend page that I'm trying to convert into a Facebook page, and also a private Facebook group for women.
Love it. Well, if you'll give me all those links, Taylor, we'll put them in the notes and you guys can follow the hell out of her. And again, let us know if you want to hear anything else. We love having part 2, part 3, part 4, part 5, like unlimited amounts of numbers of topics that you want to hear. We are here to deliver it to you. All right, Taylor, we'll talk to you later.